Hello and welcome back to Kerner Camps. I'm Daniel Mitchell and here I am today, not wild camping. Today I didn't really feel like wild camping, so instead I have come to an old favourite campsite of mine called Bush Farm Wild Camping. Now it is a wild camping site, and what that means, at least in this instance, is that for a start, you can camp anywhere you like. Here there's over 200 acres of field and rock, streams and hillsides and all sorts of different environments where you can camp. So that means that when you get here, you can literally pick out anywhere you like. I've picked a nice little corner down by the stream in the bottom field, which I know from experience is a great little place because very few people tend to camp here. It means that I'm less likely to get disturbed by other people. But the chances of being disturbed by other people on 200 acres of land on a wet weekend are pretty slim anyway. The beauty of coming to a wild camping site such as Bush Farm is that you can bring a few comforting extras. For example, I've bought my OEX expedition tarp with me, and because I don't have to go super light, rather than using the thin aluminium pole that comes with the tarp, I bought this big chunky bugger with me. It's not going to move at all. It means as well that I can have a barbecue because there's no concerns about scorching the land. They actively encourage you to not only have barbecues but a campfire if you wish, to the extent that they even provide you with movable fire pits, whether it be half an oil drum or, as I've got, and I'll show you in a minute, an old steel car wheel with a couple of 3 legs pinned to the bottom, welded to the bottom. I'm also very lucky because this little spot that I've picked, somebody's left a freestanding barbecue behind, so I'm going to take my disposable ones and put them in there in a minute. So we've got 200 acres of land and it is a wild camping site. What does it cost? Well, considering you can bring any size tent you like, and occasionally they let in caravans but not very often. You can bring a tiny little tent like mine or smaller. You can bring a massive tent like a family have got down there, which you'll sleep, I think 8 or 10 people. It doesn't really matter on size. It costs £10 a night, which I think is far more than reasonable for the expanse of land that is available to you, for a no laid out pitch policy, and for the fact that you've also got toilets, not chemical toilets, proper real toilets. You've got an area to do your cleaning of your pots and pans. They provide sinks to wash your hands. They've got fresh water on tap from a spigot, and they've got showers as well. They're quite quaint as well. So I was going to go to Dartmoor today, well, that's the truth. But the weather forecast for Dartmoor was pretty dismal, and it just seemed to be getting worse each time I look at it. And that's why I've come here. It was along the way. I haven't even left Cornwall. And it's a nice place. It's a really nice place. It's peaceful. It's wide open. There's plenty of bugs. Bugs and occasional other wildlife to enjoy. It is a working farm as well, so they've got horses here, they've got lambs here. I don't think they've got cows. I've not seen cows, but I know they've got sheep and lambs here. Chickens, which is nice for, if you're bringing along your kids and so forth, that's fantastic. We've also got a running stream which varies in deepness depending where you want to go in. Quite, where I am right now, it is quite deep. So let me show you this immediate area. So directly behind me, I've got my tent, which is my usual Nature Hike Mongar 2 with the OEX Expedition tarp erected over the top. I like this little setup because if it's raining, it gives me a little bit of extra space where I can just sit outside of the tent. I can cook there, boil water, sit, read, whatever I feel like. Let me just spin it around so you're not looking at my ugly mug. So here's the barbecue that I've nabbed. It's not too well used, so I'm pretty certain that it's not going to collapse on me. Got my tripod. Here's one of the small fire pits as well. Like I said, it's just a steel wheel with a couple of little legs welded on and a grill in the bottom. Ideal if you don't want a big fire, and if you do want a big fire, then just over here is one of the half barrels that you can use as well. Now if you have a little look around, the view from where I am here, we've got all this field. The grass hasn't been cut for some time, so it's pretty damn wild. If you want to walk through all that grass there, you're going to get a bit damp in this weather. Just over here on the right, we've got a number of tents in varying sizes. I think there's 2 or 3 families along there. And over in the distance there, you can see another large tent pitched on its own, and nothing in between. Now also, just over here, there is a gate which leads into another field. It's on a very, very steep incline, but it's great up there for exploring, especially if you want to see some beehives and get closer to the wildlife. Just up behind, right up there, is a copse of trees. I don't know if you can make it out. I'm not going to be heading up there today though, but that is a very rocky area. There's a copse of trees around the top of the hill. It's very rocky, but it's a great little spot for camping in amongst the trees. I've never done it. I will do one day, but I'm certainly not going to be doing it in the rain because there is a bowl in amongst the trees in the land, and I'd be a bit worried about the thing filling up. Now again, over in this direction, back towards where the family tents are, there's another field on the other side of the trees. There's a mix there of an apple orchard and a very wide open field. There's also several other fields which I've not explored before, I'll be honest with you, because I like it down here. So yeah, 200 acres, varied, I want to say environments, but varied places that you can camp. And again, it's just £10 per night. Now I know there's wild campsites out there that are cheaper. I visited a couple of them myself, neither of which had toilets available, neither of which had showers available. They were quite literally just fields where the farmer's happy for you to knock a tent up. I'm just going to show you the stream. Now, they used to have paddle boats that you could use on this stream, but they don't seem to have them anymore. I haven't seen them since my first visit, but it sounds wonderful, especially when I'm in the tent and I can listen to the sound of the stream rushing by. And it sounds amazing as well when the rain's pouring down. It's hitting the leaves of the trees and then running off and hitting the water with bigger splashes. And obviously when it's raining, the sound of the river is ferocious. Now that's the good points. No, there's more good points. Around about 7 o'clock in the evening, Stuart, one of the people who run the place, I think he's the owner. He comes along in his Range Rover, trundling across the fields, and he visits each tent, asks if everybody's okay, if there's anything anybody needs. And you've also then got the option to buy firewood off him. And the firewood are massive net bags. I'll show you those later. Massive net bags, loads of firewood in there. It does tend to be recycled wood, so you will get a mix of cut trees and cut up pieces of decking wood, for example, or wooden posts. It's all dry, it's all kept in a barn and dried out. Now, another good thing, this is new to me since I last came, in that on a Saturday, and I'm quite excited about this, on a Saturday, a pizza company come round, not Domino's, but a small independent business who run a mobile pizza company, wood-fired pizza. They set up at the far end near the entrance, and what you can do is when you arrive, they give you a brochure, it gives you the map and all the rest of it, and in there is a menu for the pizza, and you just text your order through, or you can do it from their Facebook page, and when your food's ready, they send you a message, you go along, pick it up, it's piping hot, and you take it back to your tent and eat it, which is fantastic. They come around about 5 o'clock. Now, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know this when I arrived, so I actually bought some barbecue gear with me. I bought burgers and cheese and all the rest of it. So I'm now kind of debating whether to have burgers now, early, for lunch, or alternatively, not have barbecue at all, just have pizza later on. Quite looking forward to that. So what are the bad points about bush farm wild camping? Well, there's not a lot really. The roads or the tracks leading to the various fields are just dirt tracks, and when the weather is fine, they're wonderful to use. A little bit pitted, a little bit bumpy, your suspension on your cars might take a little bit of a knock. But when it's wet, like it is at the moment, some areas are impassable. For example, I couldn't bring my car all the way down to this bottom field. One of the passing points are blocked off with a traffic cone and a sign which says no vehicles beyond this point, which is a shame. I would like to see at some point in the future that they will gravel out at least the tracks between the fields. That would be really fantastic. It would also be great if they flattened them out as well. So that's the first thing. The second thing is rolling back to the fires. Now, like I said, you can pick up a fire pit, bring it to your camp, or you can set up your camp around where a fire pit already exists. But all of them are mobile, so you can pick up a steel wheel fire pit, or you can drag out a half drum fire pit. What that means is that you will get scorched earth below where the fire has been. You'll get ashes, you'll get burnt wood, charcoal, and that really is a shame. And what's more of a shame is when people don't use a fire pit. Some people do just build a fire directly on the grass, which destroys it, and it leaves scars on the ground that there's really no need for. And it's the same with barbecues. When you're using a disposable barbecue like the ones that I've got here, you just put them straight down onto the grass. There's no concrete slabs or anything like that to put them down onto, which again is a big shame. The other thing that I'm not so keen on is there's no bins. Now, it's a touchy subject really. When you're trying to reproduce a wild camping experience, you don't want litter bins here, there and everywhere. That's fine, that's fair enough. Actually, I'm not being entirely accurate. There are bins on the way out. There's a multitude of bins where you can put your rubbish as you leave the site. Other than that, you've got to keep it in your tent, or as I do, in a carrier bag, which I'll pin out here by this pole. Now, not everybody is studious with their rubbish. Not everybody is conscientious about leaving their campsite clean and tidy for the next person. I've already picked up a burnt out tin of beans, some cigarette butts, sweet wrappers, what looks like a cellophane wrapper from a sleep mat. I've picked up paper, I've picked up crisp packets, and a few other bits and pieces. Now, some people might say, well, that's up to the staff, the management of the campsite, and it is. But 200 acres of land with a lot of people coming and going, like me, spend one night, or motorcyclists who just trundle up, they pitch late in the evening and they're gone early in the morning. It's not, always the most simple thing for the staff to hunt around and find every piece of rubbish, especially when the weather's bad. So I'm not putting it on them at all. I'm putting it on the campers. Campers on a wild camping site, on a normal camping site, or campers out on Dartmoor should always make an effort to leave as little an impact as possible on the environment. Now, I'm going to be guilty of doing just that. I'm going to make an impact on the environment here. I am going to light a fire later, which means there will be ashes and scorched earth below where I make my fire. But that is expected here. What is not expected is for you to leave your rubbish lying around. Another negative is that although this is a wild campsite and it is cheap, they do allow large groups here. They do allow large family tents, not all little tents like mine, as I showed you just now. And what that can lead to is a little bit of noise pollution when you're trying to settle down at night, listen to the river, have a beer, barbecue or whatever. Sometimes you will get a lot of noise from one of the tents, two of the tents. It might be music, it might be just people having a few drinks and being merry. But luckily, again, it comes back to the 200 acres. There's a lot of space here. And a lot of space means that that noise is not right on your doorstep. It's not the tent immediately to your right or immediately to your left. It could be in the adjoining field. There was a time when I camped here a couple of months ago, and there was a large group of 20-somethings who seemed to be having a party in their tent, or tents with a gazebo and all the rest of it, and that was quite noisy. So I've already shown you the fire pit, and this is one of the big bags of wood that they provide here. It's quite substantial. I think it's not quite as full as they used to be, but they got to make their money, and it lasts for a while. I usually buy 2 bags and I get through maybe 1.5. Now, I am not a bushcrafty person, so I've bought myself an instant fire log. I'm going to chuck that in there, light it, give it a few minutes, and then we should have a fire going. I've just picked up my wood fired, fresh as a daisy, hot as heck pizza. I think it was called Woodwind Pizza Company or something like that. I'll check when I get back to the tent. But here it is. I'm so looking forward to this. I'm really hungry. I was going to have barbecue, but then I remembered I don't really know how to barbecue. Let's take a look, shall we? I'm really excited about this. Holy yum, look at that. Wow. I can't wait to tuck in. So, as you can see now, I've got a bit of a fire going after a bit of a false start. Hopefully my pizza's still warm. Let's tuck in. I'll sit here for a bit so I can feed the fire. Oh man. How good does that look? So excited by this. And in a moment, I'm going to crack open my Kopparberg strawberry and lime cider. Best turn that away from the fire, I suppose. Right, so what have we got? We've got, I don't even remember. So obviously we've got a tomato and cheese base, bell peppers, jalapenos, chorizo, which is quite obvious. And the surprising bit for me is sweet potato. I never would have thought to put sweet potato on a pizza. I'm a fan of sweet potato, so I'm looking forward to giving it a try. So let's find a slice. Right, it's not too hot, but it ain't cold. Oh, chorizo's going somewhere. There we go. My God, that is lovely. That is bloody handsome bit of pizza, that. I'll put the name of the company down below and I'll link to their Facebook page in the description. I can't remember what they're called, but by God, this is a nice pizza. So if you're local, even if you're not camping at Bush Farm, they go to different areas through the week, it's worth looking them up to try this out, because it's handsome and sweet potato works. Well, it's midnight. It's time to settle down for sleep. I'm happy to say I've got the beautiful sound of the river behind me, but I won't be listening to that, not as I fall asleep. Tonight I'm listening to an audio book by Mark Tufo, read by Sean Burnett. It is Zombie Fallout, volume 16. I'm a big fan of the Zombie Fallout series by Mark Tufo, and pretty much any book narrated by Sean Burnett, arguably one of my favourite narrators of audiobooks. And other than that, that's me done for the night. Good morning. It's a bit late, it's 10:05. I've been awake for a little while, but the weather's been pretty miserable this morning, so I spent a lot of time in the tent, a lot of time under the tarp. So I'm about to make my second cup of coffee. What I had planned this morning was to take you for a little tour around all of the fields here, all the different areas to camp. But I don't want to get wet. I've had a nice relaxing stay. I was a little bit afraid that the few tents down that way, the family tents, were going to be a bit noisy during the evening, but if they were, I heard nothing. So shortly I'm going to be packing up, hopefully when it stops raining. It's stopped now for a minute, And then if I've got time, I will try, weather permitting, to give you a little tour of the campsite, some of the areas that I haven't shown you already. It's quite an extensive site. Even now I'm discovering new areas of the site that I weren't aware of were even here before. And I think that's testament to just how much space there is here. Also, the brochure that the site owners give you upon arrival, it states in there to please camp at least 50 metres apart. So even when this place is at full capacity, you still got 50 metres in any direction until you encounter another tent. Compare that to some other campsites where you are almost literally stepping out of your tent into somebody's awning or somebody else's barbecue or something. So it makes a real difference to know that even when this place is busy, you've still got lots of your own personal space that other people are not going to infringe upon, which is fantastic. So once I've drank this cup of coffee, I'll be hurriedly packing down because the kick-out time, book-out time here, is actually 11 o'clock. It's now 10:17. Also, while you can book on their website, if the website shows that they're at full capacity, it's worth giving them a ring. Apparently, when I turned up today, the website was fully booked, and despite that, they still let me come along, pay my £10 and pitch up. So yeah, Bush Farm are pretty fluid with their book-in, book-out times, which just adds to the relaxation. It means that you're not under so much pressure. So yeah, I really liked Bush Farm. So when it comes to scoring Bush Farm wild camping, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Now it loses 2 marks out of 10 for 2 reasons. One, and that is the scarring of the ground from campfires. The second reason why it loses a mark is due to accessibility. The tracks, the road tracks here, to bring your car from field to field, are pretty terrible. Not just because of them being wet and muddy, but because they are heavily pitted, and I would fear damage to my car. I think the site do need to spend some more attention on the quality of their tracks, the road tracks. Not so much for walking, but definitely for vehicles. But on the upside here, what are the other 10 marks for? Well, you've got a pretty darn real wild camping experience. I've lost my coffee, there it is. This is as close to wild camping as you can get without actually being fully in the wild. You've got vast swaths of open space, you've got a river, hills, clover fields, long grass, trees. Hell, you've even got brambles and stinging nettles. You've got muddy puddles and muddy ground. You've got uneven ground. So it's as close to real wild camping as can be, but with the benefit of facilities. Now when it comes to facilities, the toilets are fantastic. They are clean very regularly. I've seen Stuart up there cleaning the nearest toilet block at least 3 times during my stay. And that's just because I've been over in that direction. The toilet block is a fair distance from here. So to have randomly seen him cleaning them 3 times, it is brilliant. You've also got a clean-up area for cleaning up your pots, your pans, your utensils and so forth, with a proper sink and draining board. You've got 2 shower cubicles with each toilet block. They're clean, they're spacious, and they work. So when it comes to facilities, it's fantastic. Another up point is your fires. You can have a fire. There is wood readily available, and you don't have to bring in your own. You don't even have to go all the way to the entrance of the site to get your wood. 7 o'clock, Stu comes round in his Jeep or his Landy, and he brings you wood. You can buy it from him, £5 a bag, there and then. You want 10 bags, he'll give you 10 bags, it's fine. Bush Farm gets an upscoring because of the variety of environments that are available to wild camping. They really are varied. You can be on the side of a hill, you can be in a rocky outcrop, you can be under trees, you can be right next to a stream. You can be in the long grassy fields over there, you can be over here in this nice little nook next to a stream. There's enough variety here to suit pretty much anybody. There's rope swings over the stream, and you're invited to kind of walk through the stream, play in the stream, do what you like. I think the best thing about Bush Farm, in my opinion, is the fact that you're allowed to just get on with it. There's no set pitches. You don't have to pitch there next to another tent. You don't have to fill one field before the next field gets filled. There's none of that nonsense. It is literally turn up, pay your money if you haven't already booked online, and pitch wherever you want. If I wanted to pitch in the middle of that long grass over there, I could. There's no problem with it. If I wanted to pitch in the apple orchard, I can. If I pitch here, where I am now, and decide actually, don't like it here, I can pack up and I can move into another field. It's absolutely fine. You can do what you like here. In summary, Bush Farm is a great place to test out whether you like wild camping or not. And I highly recommend Bush Farm to anybody who is a wild camper already, who just wants to be able to set up a fire and chill out, but still have a wild camping experience.